Right, hello everyone. Welcome to our market close stream. Let's see how the market is actually reacting after yesterday that we had the Fed meeting. The market went actually a little bit jittery. It couldn't decide actually the direction. Today actually we got some sort of a specific movement, while some of the still our crypto is going down. We have also many of other stocks in downtrend. So most of the stocks, as you can see, are in red compared to few of them which are actually in the green. So the green is actually very small part of today's basically watch list. So let's get started with some of the basics. Let's see if there is any specific news going on. Summer travel. Not really interesting for us there. Let's check some of the stocks. This is a little bit zoom in for me. Let's see how it will happen. So Fed's Kashkari against rate hikes until after it wants to kill the dot plot. Okay, that's actually an interesting point. Despite what um, Jim Pollard was saying actually this morning, the fact that he was basically commenting the fact that he wants more basically action, and the fact that we all know, basically hinted that we all know that the inflation thing is real, and the economic growth might not be as big as we think it could be. So basically put some sort of a doubt on top of what Jay Powell actually said the other day. But now we had Kashkari, which actually discussed about the fact that he is against any rate hikes until after 2023. I think other basically Fed committee members will also have their comments, and we will see basically how it looks. The fact is that I was actually a little bit pissed that Bullard actually again commented on top of Jeremy Powell. I think the idea that when your boss, I don't know, at least the idea was that when Jay Powell talked, we, after a little bit of shakedown, we saw that the market was accepting it somehow reasonably. I think we had a very good response from tech stocks. But today, actually, again, the things got a little bit weird after Jim Pollard's kind of comment. I myself am, of course, mostly invested. I do not use any leverage, so I really do not care. But the fact is that a part of my portfolio is with a little bit of momentum and, of course, mid-term stocks. So not all of them are long-term. So I really like to be able to sell some of those. At least this is my personal kind of basically what I want. But the idea is that I was very, very happy that the direction the market was going. So I thought that I can actually relieve something, and then the next retracement, pullback, or whatever it was, I could actually buy more of the stocks that I want. And by more of the stocks I want, while I preferably want to stay mostly on growth, the idea is that I wanted to stay away from nano dimensions kind of stocks, and instead go instead toward more Etsy, more basically Square. I mean, Square itself is a very high multiple, but I don't know, Pinterest, Google, like companies with really good forward P ratios. So let's see how that happens and what the market is doing. So a little bit of look, when we looked at top of the losers, you can see the crypto. We have basically its corporate accountability to Richard. Okay, this is not stock talk. Yahoo Finance is talking about something that is not really interesting. Okay, back to the stock. So Bitcoin and crypto is in the downfall again. Let's check Bitcoin. So this is actually a sell position I had in Bitcoin. Not a great money, but I think after some cost, and so I got something around only 5% of that 6. The idea is that in eToro that I use, there's a large spread on eToro for crypto and Bitcoin. So yeah, that is for that. Look, I am a believer that the crypto market will stay in relatively downtrend, or at least they're gonna just bobbing around a certain price until really next year, and then it will be the time basically that people can get back into crypto. Crypto had some fantastic move. I would be actually surprised if Bitcoin, basically, which is my main crypto holding, can hold this 30,000. I mean, again, I have in total around 2% of my, just a little bit below 2% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. And unfortunately, I am not having it in eToro because eToro doesn't give you basically the wallet, or it is complicated. I use other kind of wallets for that, but generally speaking, I don't think that Bitcoin can actually handle this downtrend without going lower. And it's totally fine. I mean, Bitcoin went to 4,000 and 5,000. So people in Bitcoin know how it will basically work. So if you're long term, I think you shouldn't worry about anything. If you're in a trade, if you're in leverage, then that's another thing for that part. Right, so moving on, we have a senior surgical minus 6%, Riot, of course, and Mara probably minus 5 and 6%. Sun W, Nano Dimension, Can, SunPower. So many of the stocks which are mostly as called as growth, renewable, speculative stocks, which usually have lower kind of confidence, where people have lower confidence in their earning capability, is being hit the most today. And I mean, not big enough so that you can go shopping. I mean, if it gets below 6, of course, I would buy Jivo again. But for now, I'm okay with not being in Jivo. Uh, but generally, I think these are the stocks that are targeted today at least. Then we have Overstock 3%, Walgreens, Plug, uh, First Solar. We have Quantum Escape. We have Wafer, Ideonomics, Tilray. So really a large portion of stocks at over 3% or 2%. Red, let's check some of the top gainers of today. And obviously VIX got to the 20s today. It went 21, no, it went 2040. Then we had basically Fever, which, or Fire, I don't know if I'm butchering the name. Uh, I don't know why Harvard is up. If anyone knows, of course, that would be good to know, but I have no idea why Fiverr is down. Oh, hello there. Welcome. Um, we have DocuSign 4.5%. I think this is still probably a little bit related to its fantastic recent earnings. DocuSign crushed it. We have also Doyu. It has been really on a downtrend. This is one of those stocks that I expect to have a rally, but not just yet. Probably we'll see. For longer time frame, you can see that it's still in a downtrend, but it's really plateauing right now. It's really going in a straight line. The histograms are getting weaker, so probably we need another pullback, and then I mean it might go even up here, but after it pulls back once more, then maybe that's a time for us to enter. Do you for a trade? I mean, I don't know. Do you? I don't think it's that kind of a long term. Maybe mid term until you keep it until it hits somewhere like 15 or something. That's a very good amount. Like even if I get it from here, I think around 15, that gives you 45% kind of gain. So it's a very good trade if you can make it like that. Roku is 3%, Lemonade, Okta. Okta has been actually going down after their earning and the fact that some of their projections were lower than expected. I think they lowered their guidance and then now they suddenly are coming back. For me, Okta is a very high growth company, but it has a long time before getting into profitability. It just has a long term before getting there. And if you want growth, of course, if that's your only way. But there are other stocks, in my opinion, that provide you the same kind of growth and probably even better valuation. So I don't really think Okta with these current prices worth the problem or the risk associated with that one. And yeah, what is, let me hear, are they talking about something? No, nothing. I thought that they're talking about NASDAQ. I'm interested to know more about NASDAQ and basically many actually Bitcoin sells off steepens in afternoon action. Yeah, we know that. Generally declares dividend payback class climbs after raising merchant processing fees. Yeah. Yeah, STNE, Zillow actually got almost to the point that we were looking. I wanted to build a little bit position in Zillow. It just jumped up exactly after I initiated with a very small amount. Okay, let's see what they're saying.
$8 a share, a bullish call out from JP Morgan. They upgraded the stock to overweight from neutral. A couple of reasons why they think it's attractive relative to other names in this space. They're also saying that Lennar is well positioned, given the ongoing business transformation that we're seeing play out within the company. The stock moving to the upside today. Year to date, shares are up just around 28%. Flipping over to NVIDIA now, it's off its highs of the day. Earlier today, it hit an intraday record, extending some of the rally that we've seen recently and optimism that its ARM deal is going to get approved. Now it's on track for one of its best months, or its best month, I should say, in 10 months. So certainly some gains here for NVIDIA, outperforming the chip sector, which has been pretty much under pressure for most of the trading day. Bank of America also out with a relatively bullish call on the company, raising its price target to $900 a share. That's up from $800, and they think NVIDIA can double its content and also triple its data center sales over the next few years. Adam?
Keeping an eye on Amazon right now ahead of the big Prime Day sales that will begin on Monday and Tuesday. A couple of things. Shares are trading up just slightly at this point, but you should know that there was a study that was done, and they found out that the sales you think you're going to get typically below 10%, according to research from Adobe. It's not as big as the sales difference you get on Cyber Monday, which is, of course, after Thanksgiving. So if you're about to make Mr. Bezos even wealthier, keep that in mind. Also, eMarketer projects that Amazon will be more than 40% of all of the nation's e-commerce sales by the end of 2021. Airbnb shares are up, and you can see right now they are trading higher by almost 0.5%. The 52-week range is $121 to $219, and they've been trading at the lower half of that range. The company today announced that they've got this program called Live Anywhere, and what they're doing is they say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where you, 12 people are you, but 12 people will be allowed to bring up to 3 friends to live anywhere for a year for free. They're even going to give you up to $12,000 for travel for you or the 3 friends. This is a $45,000 offer if you're one of the lucky chosen, but you have to talk about your experience publicly, and Airbnb shares are, well, it seems some people enjoy that idea. Shauna?
Let's take a look at Atai Life Sciences because it's making its public debut today, and investors seem to really like the stock. Taking a look at its performance so far, you can see shares up 29%. It priced at $15 a share, opened at 21, now trading just above $19 a share. Now, this is the largest publicly traded psychedelic company. So we want to talk a little bit more about this with Christian Angermeyer. He is Atai Life Sciences founder and chairman. And Christian, it's great to have you. Congratulations on this big day for your company. Investors seem pretty excited about the potential here. Talk to us, I guess, first about the products that you're offering and also your plans to make them medically available here in the U.S.
Exactly. So you already said it. It's all about medical. So what we're doing, we're bringing back so-called psychedelics. You might, for example, know magic mushrooms, which the active ingredient is called psilocybin, or MDMA, or DMT, what people use when they do ayahuasca in South America. So we're bringing back all these psychedelic substances into the legal realm, but as a medical treatment against various forms of mental health issues. So to treat and cure depression, anxiety, addiction, PTSD, which is, and that's sort of the sad part of our story is.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't really interest me anymore. I was talking about Zillow. Redfin was actually down today. Talking about Redfin, I was actually having a look and comparing Zillow to Redfin. Well, the fact is that for Redfin, it is estimated an incredibly interesting growth for the next 5 years. But based on what you can see, the Zillow has actually basically a little bit more stable positioning compared to Redfin. Still, Redfin is an incredibly high growth and quality stock. So, I mean, if the environment was different, I would say Redfin, definitely, because I'm always up for growth. I think that's the most important part of any stock, and of course the valuation should of course be reasonable, but with the current system and what we are seeing, I think maybe I prefer right now Zillow to Redfin, because when you look at Zillow, it has been in this downtrend, and I mean, I started a little bit of position here, but I'm willing actually, if it comes back to this lower channel or even to this line, like around 105, I think I'm willing to actually put more money in Zillow. It has actually up 3.8% today. It has now pulled back a little bit. So let's see how the session will end up for Zillow on that aspect. Another stock that I wanted to talk about is SoFi. This is a new stock. I actually have to say that I don't have a lot of info about this one. I was just playing with this and reading a little bit about what it does. This is actually one of those companies that if what estimation for this company regarding revenue growth and earning growth is done as they expected, it would be a fantastic kind of investment, in my opinion. And one of the things is that one of the people that I look up very much individually from investment point of view, he actually picked up this stock and suggested me to read about it. And I haven't done it properly, but I just looked at some numbers and it looks interesting. I don't know the management at all, have no idea what they have done before, so it really needs more time to get a little bit information on that. And but for now I keep this in my radar. He was actually suggesting me to buy it in a pullback, and I don't see a pullback yet. I mean, there has been a little bit, but I think this was a little bit too much move. But again, with this current environment, it might be okay to actually wait a little bit. and then at that time meantime I can actually look at this one more in detail. But if you have any information on this, please let me know. I will be more than happy to hear what you guys think about this one, and if you think this is a reasonable, if you have any information that can help us. All right, so one of the stocks that I wanted to again look today, so Etsy, Qualcomm, and I think the rest are not really in a position to be bought. I think Etsy can be looked as a buy. Like I think 160, this is a very good valuation. I think I'm gonna add to it like just a little bit, and basically gradually build my position. I'm not gonna put a lot of money in it because I still don't know if the market gonna have another pullback, what the other Fed bosses are like are gonna say. So if another Jim Bullard comes out and says something nasty, so I expect even next week be a little bit dramatic. But in general, I expect this market to be a buy the dip market, because we have had enough problem, and I don't know honestly if that's enough already for Etsy. I think the Etsy's like what they said is that they said that their growth will be slowed down a little bit. I mean, it's obvious that it's gonna happen. No company can go all the time like that. It happens. That's part of being in the business. But I think when you look at Etsy, and I can actually look at it right now with you. Let's look at some of the multiples. So Etsy in 2025 will be considered 18. In 2024 is 21 PE ratio. This is a very good valuation for a company as high quality as Etsy. I mean, this is a fantastic. When it was at 230, when it was at like really higher valuation, then yeah, maybe you should have waited. But this thing right now, I guess based on what we are seeing, is very good. And when you see the chart as it's moving, so you can see that it's 18 by December 2025, and then it'll 15, 13, and it goes by that. But of course, it really depends if the company can meet its kind of targets, and that's part of the reason why these bigger companies, I mean, when I was talking about Zillow compared to Redfin, and I have nothing against Redfin, it's just that consider any two stocks in the same sector, but one has a little bit more stability compared to another one which has much more depth, and if the interest rate gets higher, so they gonna have much more problem. In my opinion, this is a fantastic opportunity to get into more stable companies such as Google, such as Etsy, such as what else, such as AMD. Like these are really high quality companies that you can always look into. Amazon, Amazon, same thing, or Facebook, which is one of my favorite stocks actually. I know many people hate that when I say that, but that's true. I like Facebook very much because I guess I don't guess, I really think this is a fantastic company with a good business model. But anyway, Etsy we're gonna add. We have 15 minutes almost to the closing bell. What else do we have? We had Baidu. The thing is that the Chinese kind of stocks have been getting hammered because of these recent kind of discussion about, again, another set of sanctions against China, and that is really affecting. However, I still believe that in long term, companies such as Baidu company, I mean, look, China has an incredibly big market itself. So even if it's not really operating here, which will be a big loss, and I don't think it happens at all. I think still these companies will flourish in long term. And Baidu, I guess, already is at a good valuation. We can check it right now together. What is Baidu? So Baidu is right now at 20 P ratio. So already it's a well-established company. And I mean, when you look at Baidu, let's check some of the analysis that has been done on it. So even this month there are 2 new ratings, and it's a very good rating. The hedge funds amount that they have bought it has been higher. There were some individual people that actually sold their share or reduced their share, and Baidu was one of the stocks that some individual sold. But I don't really understand how this one cannot go higher. And there has been some good news about creating some robotaxi for the new Apollo kind of session, and it just didn't get any response from that. So this is another one. Probably I'm gonna add just a little bit to it. And then the next loveliest stock that I'm looking into is this one, JD. I already have a position in it. I actually, half of my position, a little bit over half of my position is in JD, in the American stock, and then half of it is in the Hong Kong stock or Hong Kong exchange. So in that sense, I have divided them in case something happened to the United States stock. So that's because of that. But JD, again, fantastic company. I think for the next 5 years you can expect a 20% growth every year, and already it's at 45, and then in 25 it will be 9.5. Fantastic company. It's a lot similar to the business model in Amazon regarding commerce, and I think basically Alibaba and JD, both of them are incredible companies in my opinion. And I have already my position in Alibaba. I'm negative on Alibaba, and the fact that if I want to buy it again, I have to like not buy some other stuff, and I want to diversify. Otherwise, I think Alibaba and JD both are incredibly great companies. I think everyone should have these 2 companies as growth companies in their portfolio. I go as much as that. All right, DraftKings. So DraftKings is coming back a little bit, but after the Hindenburg research, like short report basically, it came down, but since then it just went up, and part of it is probably because of the really the awful report that they put together. Very speculative, very weird actually, the wording in that. I mean, you should have read the sentence a couple of times to understand what they are saying or what they are claiming about DraftKings. But for me, DraftKings, while it's a very interesting company, when you look at its forward PEs, I think it wasn't really interesting for a long term. So when you look at it, it's basically 30, and then this is the problem. For the next 2 years, it's actually discussed that the earning will be reduced, and this is because of the costs, like advertising and other stuff. And after that, they're gonna have like just this huge jump in 2024. And I don't know, it just feels like very slow. Like when you look at it at I think it becomes, of course, profitable at 2024, so that's good, maybe. And but then the rate is not that great, so I don't know. I look at it as a midterm kind of investment. That's my idea. We have 10 minutes to the closing bell. We have to remember to actually add to some of our positions. But other than that, yeah, so this is my my opinion on this. If you can buy it around 40, even 45, it's a good buy, I guess. And you will get to 70s again, $80 range. Like I guess by the end of the year, or maybe early next year, you will get there. But again, I don't know. Maybe you can buy something else that actually gives you more during that period. And remember, stocks like this, the problem with this is that it's on a growth rate and then suddenly boom, it's a slam down, and you have to, your midterm kind of a stock or trade happens to become your long-term trade, and this is not good. And unfortunately also I'm stuck with many of my trades because of the basically correction that we got, and I just decided I don't want to sell, and yeah. So let's see how it happens. People who rotated, I have many people on eToro on Save that they have all rotated to these cyclicals and basically these value stocks. And I want to get back to those guys and see that at the end of the year, did I outperform them or they did. So till now they are of course much better, but let's see how happens in the next months. If growth stock goes back to the rally, I guess I'm gonna catch up with those guys. So let's see what happens. All right, talked a lot. Ooh. All right, what else? What else can we look here? In my list, I have Qualcomm, and it's Qualcomm, another one. So Qualcomm is actually minus 1.30. Okay, I completely understand that this stock can, like on Monday, it can just jump. But one of the problems I have is that it just clearly is like bobbing around in this shorter time frame. But in higher time frame, it's in this low trend and it's almost finishing that the low trend. So probably at the next cross, we might actually get a very good trade. But Qualcomm also for me can be long term, so it's not maybe a bad idea to add a little bit to it next to Etsy, and probably a little bit to Baidu as well. So I keep in mind about that. But this sounds like it either goes here or not. I mean, it can't totally go back the other way, but I'm a little bit greedy now, so I'm all the time thinking maybe it can come back to this 125 range and I can get probably 4 or 5% better deal. So I don't know. Let's see if my greediness ruins me. I mean, many times my fear of missing out actually destroyed me. So let's see if this one works. CVS is very interesting. CVS company. I always liked CVS, but I only traded this one, never hold it long term, and it has been for a long time moving between these. So I made a couple of times these trades on it, but yeah, it has been running too high. So yeah, I digress. Let me go back and look what else I have in my list. Microsoft, Facebook, Pain, Tesla, Chewy, Zillow, DraftKings, Mara. So I guess we saw everything that we were looking for. Maybe I add just PDD here. I guess PDD is another one that I can have a look. And then of course JD was the other one. So then I have JD should be here. So yeah, I am right now. There was another stock that I'm not. Let me check. We have 5 minutes before the market closed. Let's check actually some of the winners. Maybe I remember that. Fiverr is up 7 I wonder if that is up 7%, how is Upwork? Why Upwork is down? I really don't know why Upwork is down. Do we have any news for that? Any news for Fiverr? I didn't see anything today, but yeah, anyway. Douyu is up, Roku 5%, Douyu 5%, Lemonade 5%. Lemonade started this new higher like uptrend at a higher time frame. It's very early to say, but if it moves like this and it is really like many things are now setting up. When you look at the price action, it went above the 200 EMA. It came back. The 20 EMA also went up, came back. Now these two are at a very narrow stage, the 20 and 200. The 20 is really going toward upward. The higher time frame is actually having a cross just below the zero line. So all in all, and you came back, you hit this, so it really is preparing for a fantastic movement. It's just that I already have some Lemonade, and I'm just not sure if I want to actually expose myself more to it. I think Lemonade, with its going down to 60, really scared me. But yeah, again, I want to be a little bit more into more established stocks, at least for now. Zillow is down again. Let's go and check. Enphase is up 2.4%. Frog is up 2%. Good. Actually, the market got much better than it was in the afternoon. I'm in Europe, so for those of you wondering. Yeah, Tilray. We have JD at 71.5. I have some orders to be bought at 69 and at 67. These are my two lines. Honestly speaking, only Etsy is now giving me a little bit of idea to buy. I think maybe I do that, and before close, I think yeah, just a little bit of Etsy added to my position, because I guess this is one of those companies that I want to have a little bit more. I had it today at lower prices, but I was waiting for another hit to this one. Maybe it comes back, but I don't know. I mean, it even makes sense when it comes up, you sell a little bit and but keep a little bit for yourself. Then when it comes back, buy again, and you do this couple of times, and it's called accumulation. And you realize some gains, and then also you're accumulating on your position, and meantime you're also gaining some profit, so it's not all potential profit. Okay, 1 minute to market close. Let's check the market, what these guys are saying. Nothing.
Utilities are the biggest underperformers today. The XLF and the XLE off more than 2%. And we could also see some losses across the board in technology. That had been almost an outperformer over the last couple of trading days as we saw this rotation into some of those growth plays. But technology even falling out of favor today, off just around 0.5%, as well as communication services off nearly 1%.
All right, we have a closing bell, and with the gavel, we end the week. The Dow's going to be off about 3.5% for the week. The S&P 500 is going to be down about almost 2% for the week. NASDAQ, though, essentially flat for the week. And
guys, next week gonna be really interesting. Let's see how it turns out. I am actually in the favor of the stocks going higher. I mean, I think it will happen. Let's see if
let's start with you, because there's been a lot of talk about the Fed. It's now in the rearview mirror. You still are optimistic that the reopening trade is one that can benefit investors, especially in equities, right?
I do. I think that this is not a super surprising reaction in terms of we've seen this sideways activity and pullbacks just about around any news, whether it's good news like stellar earnings or potentially bad news, rate hikes sooner than we think, although still far off. But yeah, I mean, if I look at the reopen trade and if I think about hotels, airlines, and cruises, I mean, that really hasn't monetized yet. I know that those names are off of their all-time lows, and they've done quite well since year over year, but international travel is still closed. So you don't have a situation where the world is wide open for travel, particularly here in the US. So we saw on Memorial Day that there was a 60% year over year increase. We're still not to pre-COVID levels there. Last weekend, we heard the TSA say that they screened 2 million people, just about pretty close to pre-COVID levels. So it's starting to pick up now. And I just think that these names have just been so beaten up. People have such a strong desire to get out there and sort of live. So you have this pent up demand. And I do think that these are names that, if you can kind of tolerate these sideways activities and these sideways sorts of days, that'll benefit.
Ross, when you take a look at the action, not only today, but what we've really seen all week, but today we saw some selling into the close, the Dow closing off 532 points. What do you do on days like today? Is this an opportunity to add to some of your positions?
Absolutely. There are going to be hiccups along the way, particularly as we're 85 to 90% plus in the S&P off the March 2020 lows. It's seasonally weak. Some of the breadth is kind of leaking out of the market. The Fed gave a little bit of a reason for people to kind of take some gains, and but this kind of action in the midst of a structural bull market, a reopening, an economy to really get excited about, and we think that hasn't been fully priced in to the market yet. Opportunities to add to cyclical sectors, to add to economically sensitive sectors, especially since they've been the one taking it on the chin this week.
Sylvia, you talk about opportunity in places like 5G, or as our company CEO, Hans Vestberg, says, 5G as being growth potential. Then you look at a stock like our parent company, Verizon, which has essentially been sideways flat, was down today. And we're making a huge investment in 5G. Who's going to be the beneficiaries then of 5G if a company like Verizon isn't gaining on that?
I think that Verizon is a company that will gain on that. I think that there's a longer term outlook for some of this. So if we think about 5G and sort of what it is, 5G is a phenomenon essentially that's 100 times faster than 4G, which is what we're used to. Only 1/3 of the country has actually experienced 5G so far. So I think companies like Verizon, and then also the semiconductor companies like NVIDIA, the chip companies, all the different types of technologies that are going to connect us and allow us to have a digitally shared economy are going to benefit. The projected CAGR for 5G is 70% between 2021 and 2025. So I think that, if you sort of have some patience and just think about how much is going into the infrastructure, not to mention the president's agenda and his interest in putting hundreds and billions of dollars into 5G, I do think you'll see companies like Verizon, Nokia, again, NVIDIA, AMD benefit from that sort of trend. And, the 5G ETFs have been taking off too. So we think a lot of people believe the same thing.
Qualcomm. Do not forget
Jared,
Qualcomm.
what do you have for us from the floor?
Well, there was a lot of activity indeed. I haven't heard this much going on, this many shouts since I've been back. So that Russell rebalance and also options expiration generating a lot of activity today. Let's go to the Wi-Fi Interactive to look at the close, because we did see some selling in the final moments here. You can see the Dow sold off to session lows, down over 500 points for the day. But the S&P 500 is in the same camp here. We'll take a look at that. And you can see we got that 1% down day. So that streak is now over. And I just want to take a look here if the Wi-Fi Interactive cooperates. Well, it looks like I've lost it. But we do have bank stocks under a lot of pressure
Yay,
this
Tesla.
week, and energy stocks as well. If you look at those heat maps, you see a
AMD.
lot of dark red, and then you flip over to the tech side, and you see a lot of red in the chip space, but not in software. A lot of money moving into software. So I think what we're going to see here over the next few weeks, when we have this very weak seasonality, is more kind of stealth rotation, probably more selling than buying, but there will be sectors and opportunities to be bought.
Hey, Jared, thank you. Ross, real quick, we've got about 2 weeks, not even, left in this quarter, and we're going to be gearing up again for another earnings season. Should investors have an expectation that the kind of growth we've seen over the last 2 quarters is going to slow down, or are we still Katie bar the door off to the races?
Look, I think moderating expectations, particularly after the last couple of quarters of historic beat rates and really, really strong numbers, makes some sense. But we're still looking at an economy that's going to print a historic GDP number that's reopening kind of en masse just this quarter. I mean, the past few quarters have been about positioning for that, and now you're really going to start to see those results. You've still got pretty low comps off last summer, and I think you can expect strong growth. There's been a lot of talk about, are we entering kind of a peak growth area? And even if that's the case, I do think there's still room to run. In the corporate sector, there's strength across industry, across sectors there.
Sylvia, how are you looking at the stronger U.S. dollar? Because we're seeing it get another boost today. And how big of a headwind do you think it is for some of these multinationals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a headwind for some of the multinationals and for commodities. But I think, longer term, if we look at the overall macro backdrop, I think we sort of have to see what happens with inflation, what happens with rising rates, how we sort of end up this year, what the Fed does. And, I think that'll dictate sort of the future of the dollar too. But in the meantime, I would expect to see volatility there too.
Jared, what's your final thought on all this?
Well, we were just talking about the dollar. Let's continue to talk about the dollar and check out the Wi-Fi Interactive, because it is surging, it is on the move, and that has to do with interest rate differentials, pricing in sooner rather than later rate hikes in the U.S. Now, if you take a look at a 5-year chart, very instructive. I was going over this yesterday, basically touching the lows that we saw, coming off the lows we saw earlier in the year and also 2018. And so on that time frame, this move in the dollar has some room to run, and that, yes, it could pose some problems for multinationals as well as emerging markets.
Yeah.
Ross, what do you make of the action that we've seen in financials? We had the XLF off just around 2.5% today. Goldman, JP Morgan among the worst performers in the Dow. When you would think that this would be a time that maybe investors would be favoring financials with the thought of higher rates sooner than expected. Is this an opportunity to add to some of those names?
I think so. I think the financials are really attractively positioned, kind of coming out of a decade of stagnation post-great financial crisis. They're recapitalized, great shareholder yield. But it is a rate story. I mean, curve flattening is kind of bad for them. And so ultimately, do you think long bonds or long yields can go higher? If so, we still like the financials. And I think that with the kind of economic growth and inflation expectations, I know that the 10-year is coming quite a bit, but I just find it hard to believe that 1.7, 1.75 is going to be the cycle high for the 10-year. If that moves higher towards the end of the year, I think you'll see it play out in financials.
Ross, I want to follow up with you regarding the financials, especially the big banks. It looks as if we're going to be back in an era of just boring, and their margins with the interest rates is where you're going to be looking, because they're warning us now that their trading desk boom, which has been pretty good over the last year, is coming to an end. What do you think? Ross?
Yeah, I mean, look. Hey, yeah, I'm still here. Look, they're highly linked, highly sensitive to global GDP. At least in the next couple of quarters, and really probably the next couple of years, we're going to have, historically strong GDP above trend globally. Yeah, the trading numbers might come down, but I think other areas, that they participate in, we'll see gains. We continue to like them, especially since we're forecasting, a steeper yield curve, 10-year long yields moving higher. But it will take stomaching days like today. They are linked pretty closely to rates, and it's a strange environment out there with the Fed.
Ross Mayfield and Sylvia Jablonski, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, right. That was interesting. I actually think that's correct. Financial will be good, but financial will not be good yet. Financial will become interesting when cybersecurity firm no views or realized sessions up since June 9. Yeah. I think financials will become better as we go to the end of the year. So when we have, I think we're gonna have a rally in tech, and then there will be financials. That's the way it should be, because there has been no change in the interest rate yet. Market is of course forward looking, but I don't think from now on you go and buy financials. I don't think that's the case. That's why financials is going down. I mean, tech went up a little bit, but financial were down. Still they are down, and I guess that's the way it should be. But a reopening, maybe that's a different story. But anyway, guys, thanks everyone for joining in. Really appreciate your time and you being here. If you have any question, of course, comment, and I appreciate if you follow us on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube. Will really help the channel. Thank you so much for that, and have a nice day and weekend.